The auction hall, the great alien city, never slept. Towers of metal and glass reached into the clouds, their lights glowing like 1,000 stars. At the heart of this city stood the grand auction hall, a place where the rarest, most dangerous, and most valuable things in the galaxy were bought and sold. Inside, the air was thick with heat, perfume, and greed. Alien merchants with sharp teeth whispered to each other. Rich warlords sat on high seats, their bodyguards watching every corner. Creatures from distant worlds waited for the auction to begin, some with extra arms, some with eyes that glowed. In the dark, the auctioneer, a tall being with golden skin and a voice like thunder, stood at the center. One by one, items were sold. Rare jewels from dead stars, weapons forged in black holes, and even living beasts from forbidden planets. Each sale brought cheers, gasps, and the clink of heavy credit chips. But everyone knew the real prize had not yet arrived. Finally, the lights dimmed. The hall grew silent. The auctioneer raised a long, thin hand. "Ladies and lords of the galaxy," he said, his voice echoing. "Our final lot tonight, the unbreakable one." A metal gate opened with a deep, grinding sound. Heavy footsteps approached. Out of the shadows stepped a tall figure. A girl, but not like any human girl. Her skin was a deep shade of silver, her hair dark as the void. Her eyes glowed faintly, like blue fire, and they did not look down in shame. They stared straight at the crowd, unafraid. A collar of black metal was locked around her neck, and her wrists were bound with glowing chains. The room seemed to hold its breath. "This," the auctioneer continued, "is a warrior from the planet Zyrith. She fought in the Blood Wars for 7 years. Captured by a fleet of 10 ships, she broke free twice. The last man who tried to own her died in less than a day." Whispers spread quickly. Some aliens laughed nervously. Others leaned back, eyes narrowing. "She is dangerous," said a voice from the crowd. "She is cursed," muttered another. "No one can tame her," a merchant scoffed. The auctioneer smiled. "Her strength is unmatched. Her will is unbroken. Who will place the first bid?" Silence. The alien girl scanned the room, her lips curling into the faintest smirk. She could see their fear. She could smell it. "Come now," the auctioneer urged. "Surely someone here is brave enough, or rich enough, to claim her." No one spoke. Minutes passed. The auctioneer's golden face began to tighten. "Very well," he sighed. "If there are no bids, I'll take her." The voice was human. Every head in the hall turned. A man stepped forward from the shadows near the back. He wore a long black coat, the edges dusty from travel. His hair was dark, his face sharp, and his eyes steady. Calm locked onto the alien girl. The auctioneer tilted his head. "A human?" He asked slowly. "Do you understand what you are buying?" The man gave a small nod. "I understand perfectly." The alien girl's smirk faded into something else, curiosity. She studied him carefully, searching for fear in his face. She found none. "And your bid?" auctioneer asked. The man held up a small silver cube. "Full price." Gasps filled the hall. The cube contained enough credits to buy an entire moon. The auctioneer grinned widely. "Sold to the human." Guards moved to unlock the chains. The alien girl didn't resist, but her eyes never left the man's face. When she was finally freed, she walked toward him slowly, her steps silent but heavy with power. She stopped just a few feet away. "You are either very brave," she said, in a low voice, "or very stupid." The man smiled faintly. "Maybe both." Without another word, he turned and began walking toward the exit. The girl followed, still watching him with that same unreadable expression. In the shadows above the hall, a pair of small mechanical eyes blinked. Someone was watching them, A small drone followed their movement as they disappeared into the night. The auctioneer's voice still echoed in the grand hall, even after they were gone. The unbreakable one, sold at last. But outside, in the cold air of the alien city, the real story was just beginning. Asterisk, asterisk, the first meeting, the alien city's streets were alive with noise and color. Hovercrafts hummed above. Neon signs flickered in strange languages. The smell of oil, spice, and metal mixed in the air. Captain Elias, the human who had just bought the most dangerous being in the auction, walked with calm, steady steps. Beside him, the alien girl moved like a predator. Even with no chains on her wrists, she seemed ready to strike at any moment. She didn't speak. She didn't thank him. Her glowing blue eyes watched everything, every doorway, every shadow, every person who looked at them for too long. She had been in chains for weeks, maybe months, but she walked as if nothing could ever break her. Elias led her down a narrow side street, away from the bright markets. The buildings here were older, darker, their walls stained with rust and smoke. They stopped at a tall steel door. Elias tapped a code on a small panel, and the door slid open with a deep hiss. Inside was a quiet room with only one dim light. The walls were lined with shelves of strange objects, old weapons, alien tools, and a few things that looked like artifacts from forgotten worlds. Elias turned to face her. "Sit," he said simply. She crossed her arms. "I do not take orders from humans." His lips curved in the faintest smile. "Then think of it as a suggestion." For a moment, neither moved. Then, without breaking eye contact, she sat on the edge of a metal table. "My name is Captain Elias," he said. "And I didn't buy you to own you." She raised an eyebrow. "Then why?" "Because I need your help." Her laugh was low and sharp, almost like a growl. "Help from me? You think I will fight for you because you freed me? Foolish." Elias didn't look offended. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out a small, flat object. It was a piece of black stone, carved with an ancient silver symbol. Her eyes widened for the first time since they met. She stood up so fast, the table creaked under her weight. "Where did you get this?" "I fought alongside someone who carried this," Elias said quietly. "A man who called himself Commander Kale of Zyrith." Her voice was almost a whisper. "That is my father's name." Before she could ask more, a faint sound came from outside, a low hum, almost like an insect's wings. Elias's eyes flicked toward the door. "We're not alone." He moved to the wall and pulled down a small device that looked like a silver rod. Pressing a button, he made the rod unfold into a compact blaster. The alien girl's eyes narrowed. She could hear it now, too. Footsteps outside, quick and careful. The kind of steps made by people who wanted to be silent, but couldn't. Hide from her ears, without warning, the steel door hissed again, and a blast of light shot through the opening. Elias pushed her behind a shelf just as the first assassin entered. It was a tall alien with insect-like legs and a long rifle. Its mandibles clicked as it scanned the room. Behind it, more shadows moved. The girl's heart pounded, but not from fear, from excitement. She had been waiting for a fight. Elias gave her a quick glance. "If you want answers, stay alive. We'll talk later." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "I was going to say the same thing to you." In a blur of motion, she leaped forward, grabbing a weapon from the shelf, a heavy spear with a blade that glowed faintly. The assassins didn't know it yet, but they had just walked into a storm. Cliffhanger. The first shot was fired, and the room exploded into chaos. A dangerous offer. The room smelled of scorched metal and alien blood. The walls were peppered with holes from blaster fire. A table lay broken in half, its edges still smoking. The fight had lasted less than 2 minutes. Captain Elias stood near the doorway, his blaster still warm in his hand. His coat was torn at the sleeve, and a shallow cut ran along his arm, dripping red. But his breathing was steady. Across the room, the alien girl crouched over the last assassin, pulling her glowing spear free from its chest. The creature twitched. Once, then lay still. She rose slowly, her silver skin streaked with dark alien blood, none of it her own. Elias watched her for a moment. "Efficient," he said. She tilted her head at him. "You fight well? For a human." He gave a faint smirk. "And you fight exactly as they warned me you would, fast, brutal, and unstoppable." Her eyes narrowed. "Then you knew who." "I was before you bought me. I knew enough," he said, sliding his blaster back into its holster. "But now I know you're exactly who I need." She crossed her arms. "Need for what?" Elias stepped toward the center of the room and placed the black stone with the silver symbol on the broken table. The dim light caught its surface, making it seem almost alive. "This isn't just a family mark," he said. "It's a key." Her eyes locked on the stone. "A key to what?" "A vault," Elias replied. "One hidden deep beneath the ruins of your homeworld. It holds something powerful, something your enemies would kill for. And judging by the welcome we just had, they already know I have the key." Her expression didn't change, but her voice lowered. "You think I will help you because of this story? Many have lied to me before." Elias shook his head. "I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm offering you something in return. Your freedom, not in chains, not in some backwater world, but to go wherever you want once we're done." She laughed without humor. "Freedom is an easy promise to make, harder to keep." "Then, here's something harder to ignore," Elias said, his tone turning sharp. "Your father is alive." The words hung in the air like a blade. She froze. For a heartbeat, her face was unreadable. Then her voice came out in a whisper. "You lie? I saw him," Elias said. "Years ago, he fought beside me during the siege of Korath. We were outnumbered 100-1. He led us through it. But before the battle ended, he was taken, not killed. Taken by the same people who now want you dead." Her fists clenched. "If this is a trick, I will kill you. Then you'll have to survive the trip to do it," Elias said calmly. "Either way, you'll find your answer." She stared at him for a long moment, her blue eyes glowing brighter. She could see no fear in him, only a quiet determination that was rare in humans. Finally, she asked, "What exactly do you want me to do?" "Help me get into the vault," Elias said. "Fight with me until we reach it. After that, you can walk away or stay. Your choice." Before she could respond, a faint beeping sound came from Elias's wrist device. He glanced at it and frowned. "They're tracking us. More will come." She gave a slow, dangerous smile. "Good. Let them." Elias shook his head. "Not here. We move now." He reached for the stone and slid it back into his coat. Without another word, he moved to the back door of the room, pressing a code on the panel. It opened to reveal a narrow alley lit by a blood-red glow from the distant city lights. She followed him, her spear resting lightly against her shoulder. As they stepped into the cold night air, she spoke again. "If you are lying about my father, I will make you regret buying me." Elias didn't look back. "If I'm lying, I'll deserve it." In the shadows above, another drone clicked and hummed as it followed them into the maze of streets. Somewhere in the city, someone was watching and waiting. Cliffhanger. A distant explosion shook the ground beneath their feet, and a voice echoed. From Elias's communicator, "Captain, they've found your ship." Asterisk, asterisk, the escape the ground trembled beneath their feet. The blast had come from the east, where Elias's ship was docked. A faint orange glow lit up the night sky. The low rumble of engines and the sharp crack of weapons fire echoed through the narrow streets. Elias didn't waste time. Move. The alien girl, still carrying her glowing spear, kept pace effortlessly. The streets were crowded with merchants closing stalls, children running for shelter, and armed guards rushing toward the sound of the explosion. A second blast shook the city. This time, the shockwave rattled the signs above their heads, sending sparks down like falling stars. "They're trying to disable my ship before we even get there," Elias said through gritted teeth. She glanced sideways at him. "Or they're trying to kill you before you can leave." He gave a humorless chuckle. "Both, probably." They turned into a wider avenue, the buildings here rising like black walls on either side. Above, massive airships floated slowly. There, lights sweeping the streets like watchful eyes. From the shadows ahead, a squad of mercenaries stepped out. Tall reptilian aliens in dark armor, each armed with heavy rifles. Their leader, a scarred brute with yellow eyes, pointed at Elias. Alive, the leader hissed to his soldiers. The girl, dead. Her grip tightened on her spear. "I like their plan better for me than for you." Elias's blaster was already in his hand. "Don't get sentimental, we need to break through." The mercenaries opened fire. The first volley sent bright streams of plasma ripping through the air. Elias dove behind a market cart, rolling to one knee and returning fire. The alien girl didn't take cover. She moved straight at them, her spear spinning in a deadly arc, slicing through the air with a faint hum. The first soldier she reached didn't even have time to scream before the blade cut through his weapon and chest in a single strike. Elias followed close behind, using her advance as a shield. He shot one mercenary through the visor, then kicked another into a wall, sending the alien crumpling to the ground. Within seconds, the street was littered with bodies. But before they could move on, a deep roar echoed from above. A black gunship swooped down between the towers, its engines shaking. The glass in the windows, twin cannons on its underside, began to glow. Elias grabbed her arm and pulled her toward a side street. "Move. That thing will tear us apart." They sprinted through the narrow alley, the gunship's cannons firing behind them. The blasts exploded against the ground, throwing chunks of stone into the air. They turned sharply and found themselves in a loading yard, a wide-open space with no cover. The gunship followed, lowering until its shadow fell over them. "This is bad," Elias muttered. The alien girl's eyes locked on a pile of cargo crates stacked against the far wall. With a sudden burst of speed, she ran toward them, leaping up the side like a predator climbing a cliff. In 3 quick jumps, she was on top. She hurled her spear at the gunship with all her strength. The glowing blade tore through the air and slammed into one of the cannons, exploding in a shower of sparks. The ship veered wildly, its pilot struggling to regain control. Elias took the chance. He fired 3 shots at the cockpit, each hitting just above the glass. Smoke poured from the ship's left side. The gunship pulled up and roared away into the night. The alien girl jumped down, retrieving her spear from the wrecked cannon on the ground. She spun it once, then rested it on her shoulder. "You're lucky I was here." Elias gave her a quick smile. "I was counting on it." Before she could reply, his communicator crackled again. "Captain, this is Rin at the ship. We're still here, but the dock is crawling with hostiles. You've got maybe 3 minutes before they blow the whole place." Elias looked at the girl. "We run." Now, they pushed forward through another alley, this one leading directly to the docks. But as they emerged, the sight froze them in place. Dozens of mercenaries and alien soldiers surrounded the docking platform. Elias's ship, a sleek black vessel with sharp angles, was caught in a net of glowing energy beams. The girl glanced at him. "You have a plan." "Not yet," he admitted, "but I'm about to make one." Cliffhanger. A deep metallic voice echoed from a loudspeaker above the docks. Captain Elias. Surrender the Zyrith girl, and you may live. Resist, and you both die here. Secrets in the stars, the voice from the loudspeaker faded, leaving only the hum of the energy net around the ship. The mercenaries at the docks stood in a half circle, their weapons glowing, waiting for Elias's answer. The alien girl's spear shifted slightly in her grip. "They're offering you life," she said quietly. "Most humans would take it." Elias didn't even look at her. "I'm not most humans." Her glowing blue eyes studied him for a moment. She couldn't read him, and that unsettled her. More than she wanted to admit. The loudspeaker crackled again. "Last chance, Captain. Step away from the girl." Elias sighed and spoke without turning his head. "When I give the word, run for the ship." She tilted her head. Through all of them, he gave the faintest smirk. "Yes, and try not to kill everyone. We might need information later." Before she could argue, Elias pulled a small metallic sphere from his coat and tossed it high into the air. It exploded in a flash of white light so bright it washed the world in pure, colorless glare. The soldiers screamed, blinded. "Now," he shouted. They moved as one. She was a blur, her spear slicing through weapons, armor, and anything foolish. Enough to stand in her way. Elias stayed close, firing controlled bursts, dropping soldiers one after another by the time the light faded. Half the mercenaries were on the ground, the other half stumbling in confusion. The energy net flickered, sparks dancing across its glowing strands. Elias leaped onto the dock. Pulling a control device from a fallen officer's belt, he pressed 3 buttons. The net collapsed with a shattering crack of energy. "Rin?" He called into his comm. "Engines hot, now." The ship's side hatch opened, and a figure waved them in. The alien girl was the first through the doorway, Elias right behind her. As soon as the hatch sealed, the deck rumbled beneath their feet. The ship lifted off with a sharp burst of acceleration, throwing them back against the wall. Through the small porthole, the dock shrank rapidly as the city's towers became distant shapes. But their escape wasn't clean. 3 enemy ships broke from the upper atmosphere and fell into pursuit. Their engines burning like twin suns. Elias moved quickly to the cockpit, the girl following without a word. The pilot, a thin, pale alien named Rin, was already pushing. "The controls hard. They've got speed on us," Rin warned. "We won't outrun them for long." Elise's hands moved over the navigation panel. "Then we don't outrun them. We outthink them." The alien girl leaned on the back of the pilot's chair, her eyes locked on the stars ahead. "If they catch us, you'll regret not leaving me behind." Elias glanced at her. "They catch us, we'll both regret a lot of things. Sit down and strap in." The ship jolted violently as the first enemy volley passed close enough to rattle the hull. The shields flared blue, then faded back to normal. Elias keyed in a new course. "We're heading for the rift line. They won't follow us there." Rin's eyes went wide. "The rift, Captain? That's madness. The storms there tear ships apart." "They tear bad pilots apart," Elias said calmly. The alien girl raised an eyebrow. "And you are a good pilot." "Better than good," he replied. The ship banked hard, streaking toward a cluster of shifting lights in the distance. The edge of the rift line. A dangerous stretch of space where gravity storms twisted reality itself. The pursuing ships stayed close, their weapons flashing. The alien girl watched them, her grip tightening. "Why risk this for me?" she asked suddenly. Elias didn't take his eyes off the controls. "Because your father saved my life once. And I don't forget debts." She froze. "You really fought with him?" "Yes," Elias said. "And I think he's still alive." Her voice was low. "I was told he died. They wanted you to." "Believe that," Elias said. If I'm right, he's somewhere beyond the rift. And whatever's in that vault on your world, it's connected to finding him. Before she could reply, the ship's alarms screamed. The enemy had locked on. Again. Hold on, Elias warned. The ship plunged into the rift, where stars bent and swirled like water. Lightning the size of cities arced across the void, painting the cockpit in white and gold. The pursuing ships hesitated at the edge, then pulled back, unwilling to risk it. Rin exhaled in relief. They're gone. The alien girl didn't relax. She kept her gaze on the twisting horizon. If what you're saying about my father is true, I will help you. But if it's not Elias finished for her, you'll kill me. I've heard that before. She almost smiled. I'm not joking. The ship sailed deeper into the storm, swallowed by the strange, shifting dark. Cliffhanger. A voice crackled over the comm, one Elias hadn't heard in years. Captain, you finally made it. But you're too late. Asterisk, asterisk, the final stand the storm of the rift, twisted the stars into impossible shapes. Gravity waves rolled over the ship, making the hull groan like an old war drum. The flashes of lightning in the void cast everyone's face in quick bursts of white and gold. The alien girl gripped the edge of the console, her glowing blue eyes fixed on Elias. Who is that voice? Elias didn't answer right away. He adjusted the comms, static crackling until the voice came again. Deeper now, with a cruel edge. I see you've brought her, Captain, the last daughter of Xyrath. How touching. Her spear was in her hands before Elias could speak. Who are you? She demanded. The voice chuckled. You don't remember me? I stood over your father's body the day I took him. Her breath caught, rage flooding her face. That's impossible. He was killed. Killed? No, he begged. Me to spare you. So I kept him alive, for now. The comms cut out, replaced by a piercing alarm. Rin's hands flew across the controls. We've got incoming. Big incoming? Through the swirling storm ahead, a massive warship emerged, black as a dead star, its hull covered in jagged armor. Spikes of red light pulsed along its sides, and at the center, a glowing symbol, a broken chain. Elias's face hardened. It's him, the chainbreaker. The alien girl's knuckles whitened around her spear. He dies tonight. The enemy ship opened fire, beams of crimson energy ripping through the rifts, shifting space. Elias threw the ship into a hard roll, lightning exploding across the void as they dodged. Rin, Elias ordered, bring us in close to the hull. The pilot's eyes widened. Close, Captain. That thing will tear us apart. That's the idea, Elias said. We're boarding. The alien girl looked at him like he was insane, and then she smiled. Finally, the small ship weaved through the enemy's cannon fire, skimming so close to the hull that metal scraped against metal. The docking clamps engaged with a violent jolt. Elias grabbed a rifle from the wall, tossing a smaller weapon to her. She ignored it, spinning her spear instead. The airlock hissed, opening onto the chainbreaker's warship. The corridor beyond was dark, except for the dim red glow of emergency lights. The first wave of enemy soldiers came fast, tall, armored creatures with heavy weapons. But the narrow hallway worked against them. The alien girl was a storm, her spears slicing through armor like cloth. Elias fired precise shots over her shoulder, dropping those who tried to flank. They fought their way deeper into the ship, the air thick with smoke and the metallic temps of blood. The walls shook with the power of the rift outside. Finally, they reached a massive door at the ship's core. Elias placed a charge on the control panel. This is it. The explosion tore the doors apart, revealing the command chamber. At the center stood the chainbreaker. He was huge, twice Elias's height, with black armor that seemed to drink. In the light, his helmet retracted slowly, revealing a scarred alien face with eyes that burned like molten steel. But the alien girl's breath caught because chained beside him, battered but alive, was her father. Father. Her voice cracked. Kale of Xyreth lifted his head weakly. Daughter, run. The chainbreaker's lips curled into a cruel smile. You're not going anywhere. The alien girl stepped forward, rage and shock warring in her eyes. You've kept him prisoner all these years. I've kept him alive, the chainbreaker corrected. And now, I'll end you both. Elias moved to her side. We take him together. She didn't argue. The battle exploded into motion. The chainbreaker was fast for his size, his massive blade slamming into her spear with enough force to send sparks flying. Elias darted around them, firing when he could, drawing the warlord's attention just long enough for her to strike again. Lightning from the rift flashed through the shattered viewports, illuminating the fight in violent bursts. The floor trembled beneath them as the warship drifted closer to the rift's most unstable zone. The chainbreaker swung his blade in a wide arc, forcing them back. You can't win, he snarled. The rift will swallow us all. Elias's eyes flicked to the control console. Maybe that's the point. Cliffhanger. Elias slammed his palm onto the console, triggering a violent self-destruct countdown and sealing all exits. Trust forged in fire. The warship's alarms screamed like dying machines. Red warning lights flashed across the chamber as the self-destruct countdown echoed in a cold, mechanical voice. Core overload in 5 minutes. The alien girl's spear clashed with the chainbreaker's massive blade, sparks spraying the air. Elias darted to the side, laying down fire to keep the warlord off balance. Kale of Xyreth, still chained to the wall, struggled to his feet. Blood on his lips. Daughter, stop. You'll die here. She didn't even look back. Better to die fighting than live as his prisoner. The chainbreaker roared, his voice shaking the floor. You are your father's child. But you'll end here, with him. He swung his blade in a brutal downward strike, but she caught it on her spear, the metal shrieking as it bent under the force. Her arms trembled, but she held, teeth bared. Elias seized the opening. He leaped forward, driving the butt of his rifle into the warlord's helmet with a sickening crack. The chainbreaker staggered, giving the alien girl enough room to twist. Her spear and slash across his chest. Armor split, dark blood spilling onto the floor. Still, the warlord didn't fall. He raised his blade again, only for Elias to shout, now. The alien girl lunged, her spear piercing straight through the chainbreaker's chest. He froze, disbelief in his burning eyes, before collapsing to his knees. You, he rasped, blood on his lips. You are unbreakable. Then he fell. Motionless, the rift's lightning flashing behind him like a final salute. Core overload in 3 minutes. Elias rushed to Kale, shooting the lock from his chains. The older Xyreth warrior stumbled forward, leaning heavily on his daughter. You came for me, Kale said, his voice weak but proud. She swallowed hard. I thought you were dead. There's no death, he said, while my daughter still fights. Elias scanned the room. We need to move. The ship's going to tear itself apart. They ran through the warship's trembling corridors, the deck plates splitting under the strain of the rift's pull. In the distance, a massive hull breach sucked air and debris into the void. Rin's voice crackled over the com. Captain, I can't hold position much longer. The rift's gravity is pulling us in. Prep the jump engines, Elias ordered. We're coming in hot. They reached the airlock with less than a minute to spare. The enemy ship groaned like a dying beast as it buckled inward. Elias shoved Kale through first. Then the alien girl, before leaping in himself. Go. He barked. Rin slammed the controls, and the smaller ship tore free from the docking clamps, diving away from the collapsing warship behind them. The chainbreaker's vessel imploded in a blinding flash, swallowed whole by the rifts. Unstable storms. Lightning lit the void, then faded to darkness. The ship's cabin was quiet, except for the hum of the engines. Cale rested against the bulkhead, closing his eyes. The alien girl knelt beside him, her hand gripping his arm. Elias stood a few steps away, watching them. She looked up at him, her glowing blue eyes softer than he had ever seen them. "You risked everything, for me and for him." He shrugged lightly. "I told you, I don't forget debts." A faint smile touched her lips. "And now I owe you one." Elias tilted his head. Stay. "I could use someone who's unbreakable." Cale's voice was rough but steady. "He's right. The galaxy is changing. War is coming. You two together could change the balance." The alien girl looked between them, her father, battered but alive, and the human who had walked into an auction and bought the most dangerous being in the galaxy. Not to own her, but to fight beside her. Finally, she gave a slow nod. "I'll stay, but not as your crew, as your equal." Elias smiled faintly. "Deal." Through the viewport, the rift storms faded behind them, replaced by the steady glow of distant stars. The galaxy stretched ahead, vast, dangerous, and full of possibilities. And somewhere out there, new enemies were already waiting. But this time, humanity and Xyrith would face them together. *** shadows beyond the stars, the rift storms were now far behind, fading into memory like the end of a nightmare. The ship cruised through calmer space, its engines humming softly. The crew, Elias, the alien girl, and her father Cale rested in the dim light of the cockpit. For the first time since the auction, there was silence. No alarms, no enemies, no warship chasing them, but peace in the galaxy was like still water, calm on the surface, dangerous underneath. The alien girl stood by the viewport, watching the stars. Her spear leaned against the wall, clean and polished once more. "Didn't tell me," she said without turning, "what you'll do with what's in the vault." Elias glanced at her from the pilot's seat. "'Cause I don't know yet. But I know it can't fall into the wrong hands." Cale stirred in his chair, his voice low but certain. "And there are many wrong hands out there." Elias adjusted. "The navigation screen. We'll head to the vault first, then decide." But his voice trailed off. "But what?" she asked. He tapped a glowing marker on the screen. "Someone's already there." The alien girl frowned. "Impossible. The vault's location was lost generations ago." Keela shook his head. "Then someone found it. Qua. And I'd bet my last credit it's not by accident." Cale leaned forward, his tired eyes sharpening. "If the vault is open before we arrive, they'll have the artifact," Elias finished. The girl crossed her arms. "And we have no idea what it is." Elias smirked faintly. "That's what makes it fun." Before anyone could answer, the ship's proximity alarm began to wail. Rin's voice came over the com from engineering. "Captain, we've got company. 4 ships, closing fast." Elias checked the sensor screen. The incoming vessels were small, fast, clearly built for hunting. Cale's jaw tightened. The chainbreaker had allies. The alien girl's eyes glowed brighter. "Then we kill them too." Elias swung the ship into a sharp turn, the stars outside blurring into streaks of light. "Not yet. If we fight here, we'll never reach the vault. We lose the race, we lose everything." The enemy ships matched their speed, closing the gap. The first volley of fire lit up the void, streaks of plasma cutting across the darkness. Rin's voice came again, tense. "Shields at 60%. The alien girl stepped forward. "You can't outrun them forever." "I don't need forever," Elias said, eyes locked on the nav screen. just long enough to get us to the ghost lane. Kale's head snapped up. The ghost lane. That's suicide. No sane pilot, Elias grinned. Lucky for us, I'm not sane. The ghost lane was a forgotten hyperspace corridor, a relic. From the early days of galactic travel, it was faster than anything in known space, but unstable. A single miscalculation could throw a ship into a black hole or rip it apart in the slipstream. The alien girl didn't flinch. If it gets us there first, do it. The enemy ships drew closer, their weapons pounding the shields. Sparks burst from the cockpit ceiling as a shot glanced off the port side. Elias typed in the coordinates. The ship shuddering as the engine strained. Hold on to something. The stars outside stretched, bent, and then the ship shot forward like an arrow. Into darkness, inside the ghost lane, space wasn't space anymore. The walls of reality twisted into rivers of light and shadow, the ship riding the current like a leaf in a cosmic storm. The alien girl looked out, her voice low. This is beautiful. Elias didn't answer. His focus was locked on keeping the ship from being torn apart. Behind them, two of the enemy ships failed to adjust in time. One spun out into the void, vanishing in a flash. The other was crushed by the shifting tides of space. Two remained. Kale's voice was grim. They're better than I thought. Elias gave a small nod. Then we'll have to be better. The ghost lane roared around them, a path of light toward the unknown. Somewhere ahead lay the vault. Somewhere ahead lay answers, and maybe more enemies than they could imagine. The alien girl tightened her grip on her spear. Let them follow. We'll show them what unbreakable means. Elias smirked. Now you're talking. The ship hurtled forward into the swirling light. The shadows of pursuit right behind. Cliffhanger on the nav screen. The vault's coordinates flashed, and then a new signal appeared, bigger than any ship they had seen before. Something was waiting for them.